Hello, everyone, and welcome once again inside the Fox Television Center. This is Fox Sports News, and I'm Kevin Frazier. As always, we're going to get you up to date on all of the night's action in the NBA and NHL, and helping me, my line mates, James Worthy, the man who has his finger on the pulse of the NBA, and Craig Simpson. He breaks down all the hockey action. We'll get to them shortly, but first we start with today's top story. It seems like the bleacher bums in Wrigley Field will be able to crank up the Rhino meter for at least one more year. The Cubs second baseman Ryne Sandberg agreed on a contract for the 97 and 98 season. It's an option in 98. The deal is worth $3.5 million per season. The 37-year-old came back last year after a year and a half of retirement and showed little signs of rust. He hit .244 with 25 homers and 92 RBI. His 265 homers as a second baseman is just one behind Joe Morgan for the all-time lead. Cubs GM Ed Lynch is happy to have Rhino back.
RBI total of his career in 1996. He drove in 92 runs. He hit 25 home runs, 28 doubles, played an outstanding defense for us. He's an institution in Chicago. He's played 2,000 games in a Cub uniform, and so he means a lot to the city, means a lot to this team.
A critical piece to the puzzle, I would imagine.
Although his batting average was 45 points below his career average before his retirement, Sandberg showed signs of excellent power this past season with 25 round trippers. And of course, you know, Ryne Sandberg is a sure Hall of Famer and is set, has set the standard with his flawless defense, which has earned him 9 Gold Gloves awards. We're just starting to scratch the tip of the surface here at Fox Sports News. Let's go over to the Update Center where Jeannie Zelasco is standing by. Jeannie, what's the deal?
The deal, Kevin, is the spirit of giving. Of course, we're approaching the holiday seasons, and everyone seems to be feeling pretty generous today. Denny Nagel can concentrate on forgetting all about that shellacking he took from the Yankees in the World Series. The Atlanta Braves gave the Southpaw $17.5 million consolation prizes today, and they will come over the next 4 seasons. Not bad, considering the fact Nagel was only 2-3 with a 5.59 ERA for the Braves during the season after coming over from Pittsburgh. Emmitt Smith won't be left out in the cold for tomorrow's showdown against the Redskins. The Cowboys star is expected to start despite that gimpy right ankle, although that little gift from the coaching staff wasn't much of a surprise to anyone. I wonder if it makes up for Sunday's benching against the Giants, which was a first for Emmitt during his illustrious career. They're giving out awards in college football as well, and Florida quarterback Danny Wuerffel aced 2 today. And no, neither one is the Jimmy Johnson Bad Hair Trophy. Wuerffel has been named both the 1996 Walter Camp Football Foundation's Player of the Year and the Johnny Unitas Golden Arm Award winner. Wuerffel holds 35 passing records and has his Gators undefeated and ranked #1 on the eve of the annual showdown with Florida State. A tractor-trailer steamrolls Ball State. The silver and black are seeing yellow all over, and baseball players will sleep better tonight. You're probably wondering, what's the deal? Look out below. Michigan's Robert Tractor Trailer put all his 300 pounds into this throwdown against Ball State last night. Another look, though, shows that the backboard was not shattered into as many pieces as Ohio State's national title hopes in football. The Maple Leafs' ice-cold start has tempers boiling in Toronto. Team captain Doug Gilmour and coach Mike Murphy recently got into a heated shouting match. Maybe Toronto should pop in a Yanni CD and try the new age approach. Rechannel all that aggression to their weak power play. Speaking of outbursts, Al Davis has roared again. Davis lit into the Zebras during the ranting of his latest complaints. Raiders have currently racked up the 2nd most penalties in the NFL. But don't worry, Al, you've still got 4 games left to end the season #1. In the college ranks, John Robinson has found an unlikely ally in this week's opponent. Lou Holtz thinks JR's being treated unfairly and said it's okay to have bad years and bad games. Yeah, but just make sure those bad games don't come against UCLA and Notre Dame. Hey, baseball players, rejoice and celebrate the new labor agreement. Each player will now get his own hotel room on the road. All those years of sharing suites at the Ritz-Carlton, no wonder they went on strike. The Lakers' Nick Van Exel was locked out of the 4th quarter when Dale Harris sat him down at the end of last night's game. Harris gave rookie Derek Fisher most of the minutes at point guard last night. And after the game, Van Exel showed off his Kissinger-like diplomacy when he said, "Nothing surprises me about the coach we got, nothing." Van Exel's got to be wondering, what's the deal? And Kevin, we've gotten used to Nick Van Exel making waves at least once every season, but it seems kind of early on, doesn't it?
You know, it is early in the season, but Nicky unhappy. He's got to get his floor time. Thanks a lot, Jenny. We'll see you in a few minutes. James, what's going on? You're a Laker guy. Give us the inside scoop on what's going on with Nicky Van Exel.
Well, it's a coach's decision to play whomever he wants to play, and Nick Van Exel thinks that this is his ball club, which it is. He is the floor general. He runs the ball club on the floor. But sometimes during the course of the game, momentum changes. You're making substitutions. You bring in a player like a Derek Fisher who's playing well at the time. He's good for the team at the time. Obviously, Nick was struggling. He only scored 2 points in 21 minutes. You don't talk about a coach publicly. Coach has an office. He has office hours just like everybody else. If you have something to say against your coach, you got to go into the coach's office, talk to him about it, let him know what you're frustrated about, because it does the team no good to hear a player talking about a negative thing after a win, and that's something that Nick Van Exel's got to put a lid on that.
Well, he's not the only one who needs to put a lid on that. It seems like Dougie Gilmour and Mike Murphy not getting along, huh?
Yeah, they got at it a little bit in Toronto, and I like what James said about not saying anything publicly about the coach. This was a situation where, hey, practice is a little bit of a private thing, but in Toronto, where the media is swirling around, there's at least 20 guys there every practice. Dougie Gilmour, unhappy with the early practice and the amount of skating his club was doing, got a little temper tantrum, and the coaches called him on it, and they got into a little shouting match. Hey, this is a long season. Guys go through this all the time. Doug Gilmour is a mainstay in Toronto. Cliff Fletcher, the general manager, has once said, hey, Dougie Gilmour is a Leaf for the rest of his career if he wants. He's almost untouchable. The key word there is almost, but look for this to be blown over. Dougie Gilmour, they need him in the lineup. They need him playing aggressively. I played against Dougie. He can lose his cool very easily. It's just one of those things that happens, but the golden rule is don't embarrass your coach in front of someone else.
So it's over, but is it forgotten?
I don't think it's forgotten, but hey, a couple wins cures a lot of problems.
But not forgotten. All right. Stay with us. There's much more still to come. Ahead, we'll have James's conversation with Michael Jordan. That and more is Straight Up.
The Devils try to upend the upstart Stars. And what's up with the Stars' fast start? Don't lose your heads now. Our spotlight is Ford Tough as the Bucks take on the Cavs. He's got a movie, cologne, and oh yeah, he plays a little ball from time to time too. We'll talk to Michael Jordan and more. Straight Up.
Welcome back. The Dallas Stars are coming off a tough overtime loss to the Florida Panthers, but still the Texas boys have only lost twice in their last 7 games. Tonight they look to their only other meeting of the season. Ralph Strangis and Daryl Razor Ray are standing by in Dallas. Guys, give us the lowdown on this one.
Kevin, thank you very much. In a town that is traditionally known for football this time of the year, and especially this weekend, the Dallas Stars try and light it up again tonight against the New Jersey Devils. And Razor, I'll tell you something. You and I have seen a lot of hockey games over the years, but that game last Friday, the last time the Stars played against Florida, was unbelievable.
It really was. And everybody that's been surrounding this team since the start of the year has talked about that game being the best game that they'd seen in a long, long time. And we're talking about some hockey people. Ken Hitchcock, for one, the coach of the Stars, said it was the best game he's been involved with in a long time. It was physical from minute one. Everyone uses the word playoff. It was like a playoff game. All the players said it was like a playoff game. It had everything in it, too.
It had disallowed goals. Greg Adams early threatened to put the Stars up, but then was caught in the crease as Mike Modano found the empty half.
That was only one of 2 that were waved off on the night. It was a tough night for the referee and the linesmen. They earned their money on that night. Adams finally did get a goal. He had one waved off, as we just saw, and then he had the other one about halfway through the third period. It looked like it was going to go to overtime. It did, and then in overtime.
Oh, it was an unbelievable, heartbreaking series of events. A shorthanded goal with 5 seconds remaining in the overtime period put the Florida Panthers up for good. A 2-1 victory in overtime, and it was, again, for the folks that were here and for all of us who watched that hockey game, it was memorable.
It was. I mean, if you you were a Stars fan, though, and the people that were here, it was almost a sold-out building. It was like a big sucker punch. The wind went out of this place when that goal went in. There was about 5 seconds left in overtime, and that one, it was a game that deserved to end up 1-1. It ended up 2-1.
And another boot to the tummy, if you will, to the Stars occurred a couple of days later when Grant Ledyard found out that he was suspended as a result of action that occurred in that game.
Yeah, it was actually early in that game. There were 2 good players from both sides that ended up getting hurt in this one. Sergei Gusev has been called up from Kalamazoo to replace Grant Ledyard. Not sure whether he'll play tonight or not. It was a hit along the wall, and Grant Ledyard even admitted today that he didn't realize he was as far away from Niedermayer when he tried to get a hold of him. And you know, when you look at it on tape, and he said, when I looked at it on tape, it looked a little bit like a dirty check. He ends up getting a $1,000 fine, a couple of games. They're going to miss him back on the blue line, but I think the Panthers are going to miss Robbie Niedermayer a lot more. He's out for, what is it, I think 6 to 8 weeks with a knee injury.
So the Stars tonight will be without Grant Ledyard, and missing from the New Jersey Devils tonight. He'll be missing for the rest of the season from New Jersey. This was a familiar face to Devils fans. He's been traded.
I don't know if it was his face or his hair that was most familiar. He had the nice locks going. Mike Peluso off to St. Louis to be reunited with Mike Keenan. He played for him in Chicago. Ken Sutton, who just been called up from the IHL, goes to the New Jersey Devils. Also, Rickard Pearson heads the other direction, and a second-round pick goes the other direction. So it was kind of a multiplayer deal in some way. But Peluso, I guess they feel in New Jersey right now they don't need the toughness that he provides right now. They figure they're team tough, and they moved him on.
The Dallas Stars tonight playing for the first time since the Friday night overtime loss to Florida. And Kevin, the New Jersey Devils, after winning 7 of 8, have dropped 2 in a row. So tonight it's the Stars and the Devils from Reunion Arena. Let's take it back now to Kevin Frazier at our Fox Television Center.
All right, thanks a lot, guys. And they're not going too far because, of course, we're going back down to the Big D to talk in depth about this game in just a few minutes. But, Craig, real quick, this team, the New Jersey Devils, they lost 2, but they can really shut you down defensively.
They sure can, Kevin. And you heard the guys talk about the playoff-type atmosphere against the Florida Panthers. Well, it's the same deal against the New Jersey Devils. They play a similar style to the Florida Panthers. They shut you down at every level. This is a team that does not allow a lot of goals against. In an 8-game stretch prior to their home-and-home loss against the Washington Capitals, they went 8 straight games without allowing more than 3 goals. This team is Jacques Lemaire's job at keeping them defensively oriented. That's hurt some of their offensive stars. Stevie Thomas, twice a 40-goal scorer, brought in to bring some offensive punch. Went 11 games without scoring a goal. Finally got one. He has 3 on the season, and that's what happens when you go to the New Jersey Devils to play. A lot of great offensive players have come in, and you do not expect to score 80, 90 points under that system. Meanwhile, it's a difficult system to play against. They get you at every turn, and the Dallas Stars have to be ready against the New Jersey Devils.
But at least they're getting good crowds down the Big D, and it looks like things are going well for the franchise.
Yeah, Dallas is very stable right now, and what a year they're having right now. 7 games over 500. They've got a good balance of scoring, tough defense, and great goaltending. I like what I see in this hockey club. They're starting to learn the playoff-style hockey. This is going to be a good test for them to go against a tough loss against the Florida Panthers on a bad goal late in overtime, and now have to go up against another tough team that has won the Stanley Cup and been there before, the New Jersey Devils.
All right, should be a good one, and of course we're going back out to Dallas in just a minute or two. Let's turn to the NBA. You know, the 9-3 Cleveland Cavaliers have been a pleasant surprise this season. Explosive Bobby Sura is fast becoming a fixture on highlight reels across the country, and the Cavs' smothering defense is allowing a league-low 80.9 points per game. Tonight, the Cavs ride into Milwaukee to face the Bucks, a Central Division clash that, of course, is worthy of our spotlight.
No Browns, no Bell. How about the Cavs? The Cavs? That's right. The Czars team's on a roll as they steam into Milwaukee, where the Bucks are making tracks of their own. While the Cavs' defense has been the key to 9 wins in 12 games, point guard Terrell Brandon is top 25 in the league in assists, scoring, and steals. Fratello has gotten some unexpected help from second-year man Bobby Sura, allowing Brandon to get more rest than the average point guard. Milwaukee started the season on a stampede, winning 5 of its first 6 games. But when Vin Baker was sidelined with a bruised hip, the Bucks lost a lot of their kick. With Baker now back in the lineup, Milwaukee looks to be riding high again after a 100-88 win on Monday night in Orlando. Tonight's game will feature these contrasting styles of play. The Cavs will try to employ their hard-nosed defensive game on Milwaukee's full-court attack. Chatello's boys are the league's top defenders, allowing just over 80 points per game. Young Ray Allen in Milwaukee will try to run the floor. The Bucks are averaging over 97 points per game, 6th best in the league. Tonight, it's D versus O in Milwaukee. Will D dominate, or will O steal the show? Under the spotlight.
They just talked about D and O, and the D is definitely the Cleveland Cavaliers playing great D, and Bobby Sura, the O, he's been providing plenty of it lately.
He sure has, and Mike Fratello has these guys playing well. Mike Fratello's from the old school. He had a talented team in Atlanta, and he knows how to win. Defense definitely dictates your offense, and the Cleveland Cavaliers are demonstrating that this year, but also their bench scoring is very good. Coming off the bench, Bobby Sura. He's a great second-year player. He can really get the job done. They're outscoring their opponents the last out of the eight out of the last 9 games off the bench. He can go inside and out. He shoots the 3. I like his dribble off the floor. He really goes to the basket hard. A great person to have coming off the bench. Not a great defensive player, but he definitely provides a punch coming off the bench. They're 4-1 on the road, 4-0 at home. These guys are playing good. Hats off to Mike Fratello. He has them playing well. They'll be ready for the playoffs.
Yeah, Bobby Sura just uncorked that game. But speaking of Mike Fratello, how's he doing it? I mean, there's no big superstars up there, but yet he keeps this team in it every game, every night, and they're ready, like you said, for the playoffs.
Well, it starts with the defense. As you see, their defense definitely is the key to their whole game right now. But Fratello's a great coach. He had Dominique Wilkins. He had a great team down in Atlanta who could not get past the Detroit Pistons. So he's constantly in his players' ear. He's a player's coach. He gets along with the players very well. They've had some guys that's been around for a while, have great nucleus. Danny Ferry, Bobby Fields, Terrell Brandon. Those guys like each other. They're playing very well. Obviously, they like each other, and they monitor each other constructively, and that's what it takes to create that kind of...
You know, that's interesting you said that, because that's a point you made yesterday about winning teams have that nucleus, and Cleveland has kept that nucleus around for a while. Well, don't go anywhere, because we have much more to come, but as we head to break, check this out. The Cavs have been playing spectacular D except outside the arc, while the Bucks seem to be at their best D'ing up at the three-point line. We'll be right back as Fox Sports News rolls on. Welcome back. Lots of folks putting up big numbers. Who's all that, James?
Eddie Jones, new nickname, the Thief of Baghdad. 8 steals versus Philadelphia last night.
Goaltender Bill Ranford of the Boston Bruins shuts the door on Big 88's return for the Philadelphia Flyers, gaining his shutout in the process.
All right, and of course, if you are not all that, you are tired.
Joe Klein with the donut last night in 20 minutes versus Denver.
And Rick Tocchet of the Boston Bruins in that same game, no goals and no assists in his last 6, got benched against the Philadelphia Flyers.
All right, let's turn things around 180 degrees and go from tired to a guy who has no idea what tired is. Michael Jordan will likely be remembered as the greatest basketball player of all time. And, James, you had a chance to sit down and talk to Michael. He's a guy you've known since your days back in North Carolina.
That's right, Kevin. I've known Michael for a long, long time. And back then, I don't even think Michael predicted the heights he would eventually reach.
My own expectations are just to go in and try to contribute, you know, and do whatever Coach Lockery wants me to do, and don't try to do anything out of the ordinary.
As I sit here and I reminisce about all the North Carolina days, I just got to ask you, what does it feel like? Because I had no idea that you were going to blow up like you did. I knew you were going to be a great player. I knew you were going to be an all-star. And I remember this confident freshman coming to North Carolina, and now here you are in the NBA. Best player ever, championships. What does it feel like?
It's great. I mean, as you know, I was very competitive. You and I used to have one-on-one matches after every practice, and I think no one could envision what's happened to me over the period of time. And I think, as you know, we come from a system that teaches you the fundamentals of the game of basketball, and once you're out, your desire and your competitiveness takes it a step further. And I think when I got into the pros, that's what really elevated my game, the confidence and certainly the competitiveness that I felt that I was challenging, I had on this level.
I know you love your kids, your family, in the community. Does that drive you as much as playing the game itself?
Yeah, it's an obligation that I have, but now I'm at a stage in my career that I have to be unselfish for my family, and they come first. You know, when I'm out with them or, you know, when I spend time with them, everything is secondary. Now, the community service is things that I like to do. I feel an obligation to give back for the next generation, for them to either prosper as individuals or give them certain goals or guidelines to follow.
I know you love the game. There's been a lot of talk about when you were going to retire, and I tell people that he loves the game. That's why he's playing.
I truly love the game. I think the challenge for me today is seeing tomorrow's players and seeing how well, we can still stack up to the tomorrow's player, yesterday's players, tomorrow's players, and see that it's still a desire, and it's a game that it's not always skill. Sometimes it's just the mental approach that you take to the game, and I still have those challenges while I'm still playing. And as long as I can have that, I'm gonna still play the game of basketball.
James, you got clued into how good this guy was pretty early on at North Carolina.
Yeah, I did. Michael and I used to play a lot of one-on-one games, but I remember distinctively one day in practice, this was Michael's freshman year. It's like the first week of practice, and Sam Perkins and I were pretty much the bullies around the team. But Michael was coming down the court one time, and I was getting ready to draw a charge. He dodged me to the left, switched the ball in his left hand, and Sam and I both went up to block the shot. He switched it back in the right hand and dunked it on both of us, and I have yet to see him duplicate that move. He does things once in a lifetime moves. Great move. Embarrassed Sam and I totally, and he earned our respect on that play.
Hey, James, when he came in, you were the man at Carolina, and after you saw that kind of stuff, you figure, okay, this guy's good, but you didn't think he would become as good as he is or better than James Worthy.
I didn't think he'd be better than me, and I tell you what, I knew he was going to be a great all-star. I knew this guy hadn't peaked yet, and he had a lot to learn. I knew he was going to excel in the NBA, but this guy, no question, the best player that's ever played in the NBA.
All right, yes, he is. No question about that. All right. Now that you know who's the man, Michael Jordan, time for us to dive under the headlines and see what's cooking in the Romer mill. Craig, let's talk with you. A trade possibly, Rick Tocchet?
Yeah, we talked earlier, Rick Tocchet in the big win against the Philadelphia Flyers. Rick Tocchet was benched in the third period. He did not stick around to talk about it after the game. Hey, Rick Tocchet's in his 13th year. He's a very physical, power forward type player. He's had a super storied career. He started with the Philadelphia Flyers in '84. Now, Steve Casper, the coach of the Boston Bruins, has done this before with his other stars, Cam Neely and Kevin Stevens in Toronto. And boy, it didn't take long for Stevens to be gone. I think there's trouble between Casper and Rick Tocchet. Tocchet has not scored in the last 6 games, and that's trouble. The possible places for him to go to, obviously, the Philadelphia Flyers are looking for some more toughness and some big guys to take the heat off the Legion of Doom. He'd be a natural, and they were trying to dump Pat Falloon and get him out of there. But don't forget the blue shirts from New York. New York Rangers captain, or pardon me, not captain, but Wayne Gretzky, great buddies with Rick Tocchet. He brought him to Los Angeles. They want to play together. That could be a natural for the Rangers, but they don't have much youth to give up. So look for Rick Tocchet to be going at it with Steve Casper. I think a deal will be done.
All right, Wayne always taking care of his golf guys, doesn't he? All right, a more serious situation in Buffalo. Patty LaFontaine, a guy you know well, you played with him. He got hit, the concussion. He really hasn't recovered. What's going on?
Well, it's bad news for Patty LaFontaine. He's announced that he's going to be out 3 to 4 months. Now, Patty got hit back on October 17th against the Pittsburgh Penguins, an elbow from Francois Leroux. He was cutting across, got his head down, and he was knocked out cold. This is the 6th time in Patty's career that he's been knocked out, and this one was a serious one. He said afterwards that for weeks he had a lot of symptoms. His mood was up and down. He felt very fatigued. He had bad headaches. The doctor sent him to the Mayo Clinic to have 5 more specialists do different tests. They said, listen, there's not any permanent damage done, but there is evidence of some serious damage in the interim. They've advised that he take 3, possibly 4 months off, not work out. He's not allowed to get back into active activity until the headaches go away. Bad news for the Buffalo Sabres, obviously, but more importantly, we wish Patty LaFontaine some good luck. Hopefully, this doesn't end his career.
Yeah, of course. That's the most important thing, his health, not his hockey game. All right, James, let's talk NBA. And as the Bulls go into the season with that thing they call a 3-headed monster, 3 centers, they have Wennington, Longley, and Parrish. Now they're just down to Wennington.
Yeah, who would ever think that Chicago Bulls would need anything as well as they're playing, but they do need a center, and they don't need a center who's going to score a lot of points. They're not looking for an offensive-minded center. They're looking for a center who can come in and play some defense, get some rebounds, and adjust to their system. Now, some of the names that they've thrown out so far have been Benoit Benjamin, who's been a bust in the NBA. They're thinking about bringing back John Sala, who played with the Bulls. But the most interesting name that's popped up is Moses Malone. Now, I played over in Australia in an exhibition game with Moses Malone. He's still in good shape, 38 years old, very experienced, can still get 15, 20 rebounds a game. but he's very smart, and he'd be a great addition to this team. Robert Parrish is 42 years old. He's not really going to be a guy who's going to play a lot of minutes. Bill Wennington is not a defensive enforcer. They would like to get Luke Longley back, but until then, they'll be shopping around for some new names. Moses Malone, very interesting name.
Very interesting, because we know Mo can go in there and mix it up. But there's another name that you left off that list, because there's a pretty good center sitting out there.
Yeah, Brian Williams, I think that's who you're talking about. You know, they have restrictions under the cap. The Bulls only have about $215,000 to pay someone, so it'd take a miracle to get Brian Williams there.
Yeah, because he's turned down big money from everybody else, millions. Why would he go for the minimum? All right, there is still much more to come on our show. But first, take a look at this. The Bulls' big men are not known for cleaning the glass. In fact, they have had only two centers, Artis Gilmore and Tom Boerwinkle, grab 1,000 rebounds in a season. That shouldn't change anytime soon. Bill Wennington, the man in the middle for now. We'll have more as Fox Sports News rolls on. Welcome back. Dallas got off to a fast start in October, but since then the Shooting Stars have cooled off a bit, winning only as many as they've lost in November. Well, let's head back out to Dallas now, where the Stars are hosting the New Jersey Devils tonight, and Ralph Strangis and Darrell Ray are standing by. Gentlemen, have you pinched yourselves yet, because your Stars are still on top of the Central Division?
Yeah, you bet. Yeah, we have. We've I heard. It's crazy, and he's pinching me too, which is very odd. But yeah, it's I don't know. Did we completely lose it now or what? It's been fantastic so far this season. The games have been great to work, and really culminating with that one Friday night, Razor.
Yeah, the one thing that Ken Hitchcock keeps hitting on is the fact that, yeah, this team competes every night now, but they want to get it to where they win almost every night, and that's the difference perhaps right now between the Florida Panthers and the Dallas Stars.
Guys, one bright spot this season, obviously, a play of a good rookie, Jamie Launchenbrunner. Tell me about him. He looks like he's really getting things done offensively.
Yeah, he is. The coaching staff, what they like about him is the fact that he comes with that grit every night. He's been a great player at every level that he's played at, and that starts all the way back to high school in your area up in Minnesota. Right. He was a great high school player in Minnesota. He turned into a great junior player. He left and played junior in Peterborough. He was Rookie of the Year there. He was Rookie of the Year in Kalamazoo, the Dallas Stars Farm Club last year, also their MVP. And I'll go out on a limb right now and say he'll be Rookie of the Year on this team this year, and he's probably going to move his way up through the lineup. Plays a lot on that fourth line, but it's not very often you can have a rookie that plays anywhere from the fourth to first line.
Yeah, and he is a good Minnesota boy, and I asked him which was tougher, Friday night's loss against Florida or watching the Vikings lose to Denver on that final play, and he shook his head. He said, I didn't like any of that weekend, so he's a good kid.
Well, obviously, you talk about some youngsters, but also a guy who's really had a storied career, a great defensive player who really helps the Dallas Stars out a lot. Guy Carbonneau, what has his effect in the lineup had?
He was probably the most physical, that we've seen, Guy Carbonneau, the other night, Friday night against Florida. And he's just the type of guy that whenever he and Reed are out there, you look at where the penalty killing is right now. The penalty killing for the Stars, I think, is 6th heading into the game tonight. He's a big part of that. He can shut down other lines if he has to. He and Dave Reed have really melded well together, and he can play right wing, he can play center, and then all those years and all that defensive play really helps, especially some of the young guys. Langenbrunner pointed him out as helping him a lot.
Well, you think about new additions to this hockey club. Sergei Zubov came in, a big trade for Hatcher. How's he made out so far this season?
I think Sergei Zubov's been very good throughout the year. I think that from the beginning of the season, he struggled to sort of find his way offensively, but he was really doing many things at both ends of the ice. I think Friday night was disappointing for Sergei Zubov as well. I visited with him this morning a little bit, and we talked to him. He wasn't happy with the fact that he was sort of the guy that could have been in the way to prevent that shorthanded goal.
Well, he puts a lot of weight into the power play. He knows he came here to help the power play, so when it's not working or when it gets scored on like it did in overtime, that goes right to his heart. When you look at the two players right now, you look at what Hatcher's doing in Pittsburgh, and yeah, he's +4 and he's put up some points. Everyone knew he was going to do that. On the other side of the coin, Zubov here, he's not going to put up the same points that he did in Pittsburgh or in New York for that fact, just because of the system. He's not going to score an awful lot of goals. This team doesn't win 7-6, they win 3-2, and that's going to cut into his points.
You talk about the team not winning 7-6, but winning 3-2. Is this the team that can go into the playoffs and play any style of game that they have to, depending upon their opponent?
I think so. I mean, they're more concerned right now and just worrying about the way they're playing night in and night out, and not worrying so much about the teams that they're going up against. And for the most part, I think they've kept that in their mind. They head into these 3 games in 4 days now, and it's 3 very different teams in Toronto and Tampa Bay and in the New Jersey Devils tonight. So they have to play kind of their own game. Come playoff time, long ways away, and I'm sure the coaching staff don't even want to hear about it right now. They just want to keep going along that even keel and working towards that.
You talk about this team and you talk about Mike Modano as one of their leaders. How surprising is it that he's a +13 so far this season, playing well at both ends of the ice? Has his game really changed that much, or is it the team?
Well, I think it's a combination of a lot of things, and I've been with this club now. This is my 7th year, and Modano was drafted. His rookie year was the season before I was working for this club, so I've seen him all the way along. And Modano is really a guy that was hungry for some tutoring and hungry for a good system and hungry for some players to help him out, and I think he's gotten it this year. Ken Hitchcock wants to work with him. He's helped him at both ends of the ice. He's got the players this year to complement his game, and Razor, I think we're really seeing the blossoming of Mike Modano as a two-way player.
I agree completely. We're going to see 2 players in the game tonight. Billy Guerin on the other side. It's funny, they were line mates with Team USA at the World Cup. Both of them have come out at the beginning of the season and talked about being every game consistent. And that's the one thing that was outside of Mike Modano's realm. It seemed like when it was a tough game, if it was a game like Friday night against Florida, he might just go the other way and say, look, I'll get my points on another night. He was dragged into that thing the other night and played great.
You talk about games like that against Florida that are really tough defensively. Do you think this team has the good role players and the good depth that they're going to need to compete against those types of teams?
I think so.
Yeah, they've answered, I think, both those questions, at least in the early going. As far as their depth, I mean, you look at the injuries, without Joe Nieuwendyk, without Harvey, without Heward, without all... Basson hasn't played a game yet this year, and they've continued to win. And, you know, you're going to add some role players when Basson comes back in, when Harvey comes back in. The addition of a guy like Pat Verbeek can't be overlooked, who's playing great probably the last 5-6 games. So if they can keep this thing going the way it is right now, this will be a tough team to beat in the playoffs, and if Andy Mogan, the goaltending, can hang up.
And if you pinch yourselves, but we'll wait on that. Guys, thanks so much. Always happy to see when we're heading down to the Big D. And, of course, we look forward to your post-game report. Have a good one.
Yep,
all right.
thanks.
Craig, you know, you're talking about the Stars, and they say they're surprised, but how much longer is this going to go on?
Well, I think you look at the Stars, and they've got a lot of confidence right now. They've had some good tests, and that game against the Florida Panthers, as disappointing as it was to lose that game, it teaches you that you're never out of the game, and you always have to play a full game. Now, one thing that the Dallas Stars have had lately, you say they're 5-5-1 in their last 11. The inconsistency factor you always have to worry about. A team that missed the playoffs last year, you can't get too high, and you can't get too low. Ken Hitchcock is very pleased with his team and trying to keep them on a even keel all the way through. This team's got some good talent, and they're playing with it.
Yeah, they're still surprising me. All right, now that we're all caught up on the Stars and Devils, we want to tell you about some other games we're following for the later edition of Fox Sports News. The Maple Leafs in the Motor City to face the Wings, and in the NBA, the Jazz host the Nuggets. For a preview, check out tonight's Foxtrot.
The faces have changed, but the pride remains the same. Get ready for an old-time garage match as Purple Rain descends on the green team in Boston. The Smoke and Mirrors show continues in Orlando. No penny in their pockets, but plenty of tricks still up the magic sleeve. Can Mookie Blaylock and the Hawks find a way to break the spell in the O-Arena? With Pat LaFontaine out of the picture in Buffalo, the Sabres must find a way to sharpen their slashing attack. Can they do it against the revolving door policy between the pipes in Tampa? After making sauce in the Big Apple, the Sonics come boom then into the frozen forest of the T-Wolves. Test time for the Super School Boys in Minnesota. Can Kid Kevin outclass man-child Kemp? As the 5th leading scorer in the league, Matt Sundin is the toast of Toronto. The word at Wings Central is forget the Russian front, as Stevie Y and his line lead the Big Red Machine. Can the Leafs clog the pipes and blow Detroit's engine? The Jazz are grooving in their old digs at the Salt Palace. After moving mountains by beating the Bulls, they play host to the Nuggets. Denver's Mile High Club looks to do it with range. Look for NBA all-time three-point leader Dale Ellis to be dropping bombs on Utah's jam session. Alonzo Mourning brings the hottest thing this side of Miami to sunny Southern California for a scorcher with the Clippers. But beware, Malik seeks heat like an infrared missile. There's sure to be sparks a-flying in this one. PJ's sleepless nights aren't over yet. Portland's Texas Trail continues to the Alamo City for a soiree with the Spurs. Can the Blazers fake their way to victory, or will the human highlight film hold them over for an encore performance? Good questions. Good Foxtrot.
Of course, we'll have full details on all those games on Fox Sports News, but that's later. Coming up next, we still got plenty on the way, and when we come back, we'll be making another trip over to the update desk for more of today's top stories. That and more as Fox Sports News rolls on. Time now to hand it off to Jeannie Zelasco at the update area. Jeannie's been standing by, keeping an eye on all the news of the day. Jeannie, what you got for us?
Well, it looks like the Atlanta Braves have more money in their bank account to spend, and they did a little of that today. 1 week after signing John Smoltz to a $31 million contract, the Atlanta Braves agreed to a 4-year, $17.5 million deal with lefty Denny Neagle. Neagle was acquired from Pittsburgh for 2 minor leaguers in late August. He was 2-3 with a 5.59 ERA in 6 games with the Braves. However, the 28-year-old did finish 16-9 with an ERA of 3.5 overall. Chicago White Sox ace Alex Fernandez came out as one of the winners under baseball's new labor agreement. He was credited with service time during the '94 strike, and he is now eligible for free agency. Fernandez wants to remain in Chicago, but the White Sox aren't willing to meet his demand for a 5-year, $35 million contract and will probably let him go. Fernandez was 16-10 with a 3.45 ERA and 35 starts for the White Sox just last season. Basketball fans in Toronto are breathing a sigh of relief 1 day after Marcus Camby collapsed during warm-ups before the Raptors-Kings game. The 6'11" rookie suffered back spasms and is expected to be out about a week.
I got in the ambulance, I regained feeling in my legs, so that was, most important. But right now, I'm just getting better. Just can't wait to get back out there.
76ers guard Jerry Stackhouse has been diagnosed with keratoconus, a degenerative disease of the cornea that has caused reduced vision in his left eye. It is not considered career-threatening, and Stackhouse will wear special contact lenses to try and stem the disease. Last night, the Suns lost to the Nuggets 117-108 to set a new franchise record for consecutive losses. The change from Cotton Fitzsimmons to Danny Ainge hasn't seemed to help. Phoenix is now 0-13. And, of course, it's not looking real good for the Suns. They are just 4 losses away from tying the mark for the worst start ever set by the expansion Miami Heat in 1988. USC's offensive coordinator Mike Riley says he's interested in returning to his hometown to become the new head coach at Oregon State. Riley says there have been no discussions so far about his possible employment, but published reports in Oregon say the school is interested in him to replace Jared Pettibone, who resigned on Monday. Since 1967, only 4 of the winners of the Walter Camp Award have not won the Heisman Trophy. If history holds true to form, that's good news for Florida's Danny Wuerffel. He was this year's pick as the Walter Camp Football Foundation's Player of the Year. Wuerffel also won the Johnny Unitas Golden Arm Award, being the top nation's senior quarterback. He now holds 35 passing records. This season, he tossed for 30 touchdowns and leading the Gators to a 10-0 record and a #1 national ranking. Cincinnati Bengals offensive lineman Scott Brumfield was released from the hospital today. He had been recuperating from a spinal cord concussion injury. He suffered that against the Ravens earlier this month. Doctors expect him to fully recover, and Brumfield is optimistic that he will play next season. St. Louis Rams have rewarded standout wide receiver Isaac Bruce with a 4-year contract extension. So far this season, Bruce has caught 65 passes for 1,005 yards. That's 46% of the Rams' passing attack. Pittsburgh Steelers will be without starting tight end Mark Bruner for the rest of the season after having surgery on his left knee today. Bruner suffered the injury while making a catch in the Steelers' win over the Dolphins. That happened on Monday night. After being benched in the 4th quarter and gaining just 18 yards on 11 carries last Sunday, Emmitt Smith still plans to start tomorrow against the Redskins. However, Dallas won't hesitate to use Sherman Williams or Herschel Walker if Emmitt's sore ankles continue to bother him. Well, tomorrow's Thanksgiving, and that can only mean 2 things. The Lions are playing, and Wayne Fontes is close to losing his job. Time now to get you caught up on all the NFL action with a Turkey Day edition of Foxtrot.
Let's talk turkey, or maybe I should say Turkey Day. Whet your appetite in Motown, where Wayne Fontes tries to keep slim playoff hopes alive. Detroit's air attack has been grounded, And the Lions' loudest roar could come from the littlest cub. The Chiefs won't mind being thrown to the Lions. They're 3-0 against the NFC Central and ready to load up on a fourth helping. But the offense has stalled, and the KCD might have to jumpstart the scoring engine. The main course is served in Dallas, where Terry Allen and the Redskins can eat up the yardage like mom's mashed potatoes. But Emmitt Smith is out to prove he's still the engine that pulls the Dallas gravy train. With NFC East bragging rights on the line, the boys in skins won't be too stuffed to do a Turkey Day dance in the end zone, especially if it's the Foxtrot.
And you can watch the big Redskins-Cowboys game tomorrow on Fox. Game time begins 4 o'clock Eastern, 1 Pacific. It should be a good one. Remember, Washington swept both games from the Dallas Cowboys last year. Looks like Syracuse forward Todd Bergen will get an early season break. He might have to sit out 7 games for violating the school's code of student conduct. Pending an appeal, Bergen will miss 25% of his season's games. He has been placed on disciplinary probation for 3 semesters. The penalty stems from an altercation involving Bergen and another student who lived in his housing complex. Bergen, who scored 19 points in the loss to Kentucky in last season's NCAA championship game, was expected to play a key role for this year's squad. The 6'7" junior started all 38 games for the Orangemen last season and averaged 12 points a game. The top-ranked team in college hoops was upset Tuesday night. Cincinnati Bearcats lost to crosstown rival Xavier of Ohio 71-69 on Lenny Brown's buzzer beater. The loss means the Bearcats' reign atop the AP poll may be short-lived. Look for a new number 1 when the polls are released next week. Number 2 Kansas could take over the top spot with a win over Virginia in tonight's Maui Classic. Kevin, Craig, and James will have more as Fox Sports News rolls on.
Welcome back. Jacques Lemaire will try and keep his New Jersey Devils in sight of division-leading Florida Panthers as they take the ice tonight against Dallas. All right, time now to tell you what to look for in your games tonight. And, Craig, we start with that Dallas-New Jersey matchup.
Well, we've talked a lot about this matchup being a good defensive battle. Well, if I'm the New Jersey Devils, I got a key on a couple of the Dallas Stars, Mike Modano and Greg Adams. And what I'm going to do with that is a guy we picked up is Lyle Odolin from the Montreal Canadiens for Stéphane Richer. Odolin will be in your face all night long. He will go after Mike Modano, try to get him off his game, talk in his ear a little bit, hit him every chance he gets. And Lyle Odolin is the type of player that will hit you with his fist, and he's a good body checker in the open ice. Look for him to be at those 2 guys all night long, make it very difficult for them to get to the net.
All right, let's talk NBA. James, Blazers, Spurs, what to look for?
Well, the Blazers are trying to run the ball a little bit. In order to do that, they need Kenny Anderson. He's the floor general, along with Rasheed Wallace and J.R. Ryder. These guys are trying to get a little Lakers showtime going. Kenny Anderson had a great game the last game, over 10 assists, 23 points, playing great for the Portland Trail Blazers. Look for him to match up against the opponent's point guard and try to take him one-on-one, driving with a lot of ISO moves. Should be a good matchup.
All right, you know, time is running short, so when we come back, we'll send you out to your venues. That as Fox Sports News rolls on.